A harsh conviction for a man who stole Turkish delight worth less than $1 prompted his defense lawyer to call into question the Turkish justice system that lets white-collar criminals go free despite allegations of massive corruption, tender rigging, and influence peddling in millions of dollars in kickbacks. A man whose initials are reported to be RY was sentenced to 4 years in prison for stealing Turkish delight worth TL2, around 75 cents. Provoking his lawyer's criticism on the grounds that senior officials who were implicated for taking bribes worth tens of millions of dollars were not charged at all. Lawyer Ahmet Okumuş told today's Zaman that his client has been sentenced to 4 years in prison on charges of stealing Turkish delight from a shop in İzmir, while the suspects of the December 17 graft investigation, which went in public in 2013 and implicated a number of government officials, had their charges dropped and were released without a trial. A government-controlled parliamentary vote also decided against the trial of 4 former ministers who had to resign in the aftermath of corruption scandal and who were also implicated in the investigation. Okumuş said a high-ranking state official who allegedly hid more than $4.5 million at his home was issued a verdict of non-prosecution in a graft probe, while my client received 4 years and 2 months jail time for stealing TL2 worth of Turkish delight. I put these two completely contrasting verdicts to people's conscience to pass a judgment on their own, he added. The lawyer was recalling the case of Süleyman Aslan, the former CEO of state-run Halk Bank, who made headlines as one of the main suspects in the corruption probe that went public on December 17. He was infamous for the $4.5 million in cash that was found stuffed in shoeboxes and back-scrubbing loofahs at his home. Aslan subsequently denied any allegations of corruption and claimed that the money was intended for charitable purposes. However, the evidence revealed that Aslan had a court-authorized wiretapped telephone conversation with his wife in which she notified him in code of the arrival of the money at their house. The lead prosecutor Celal Kara, who had investigated Aslan and others, was removed in a government-orchestrated reshuffle, and the new prosecutor not only dropped the charges but also returned the cash to the suspects. Kara was suspended from his position and is himself now the target of an investigation as part of what the opposition said is a revenge operation by the government for disclosing the dirty laundry of senior officials. The revelation of the millions of dollars found in Aslan's home was one of the most popularly referenced details of the December 17, 2013 corruption probe that resulted in the resignation of 4 of then Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdoğan's cabinet members and implicated many prominent politicians and businessmen in a variety of illicit activities, from money laundering to media interference. Just as penguins became the symbol for the 2013 Gezi protests after several mainstream channels broadcast a documentary on penguins rather than covering the protests at their peak, the shoebox found in Aslan's home became the primary symbol of the largest corruption scandal in the history of the Republic. The CO chairman of the Law Association, the Union of Judges and Prosecutors for Democracy and Freedom, Democratic Judiciary, Orhan Gazi Ertekin told today's Zaman that the defendant should have been acquitted of charges according to Article 145 of the Turkish Penal Code, TCK, which lessens the criminality of theft that is considered to fulfill bare minimum necessities. Stressing that he did not read the case file to form a definite opinion on the matter, Ertekin said he nevertheless understood the outcry expressed by lawyer Okumuş. He said the lawyer did the right thing by appealing to people's conscience and presenting the case for public review. In a similar case in February, a teenager identified by the initials GG was sentenced to 4 years and 3 months imprisonment by a court on the grounds that he stole chocolate. A court decided that the teenager had stolen some chocolate from a supermarket in October 2014 during protests across the country that were prompted by the Turkish government's perceived inaction against the seizure of the Syrian Kurdish town of Kobani by the extremist Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, ISIL. In its decision, the local court said that 17-year-old GG benefited from the fear which occurred during the incidents and involved in an act of theft. The trial process lasted only a month and a half, a very short period for a case to be concluded, considering many trials take years to reach a conclusion in the Turkish judicial system. The court also refused to revert the imprisonment charge to a simple fine for the teen, who has already served 49 days in prison, though this is normally a common practice. The accused lawyer applied to the Supreme Court of Appeals regarding the local court's verdict. The accused lawyer applied to the Supreme Court of Appeals regarding the local court's verdict. This particular court decision has prompted worries about equality within the judiciary. Retired Supreme Court of Appeals Public Prosecutor Ahmet Okumuş said the major difference between these cases of petty theft and the ones that involved senior government officials confirmed the absence of rule of law in Turkey. The heavy sentencing of a man who was accused of stealing a Turkish delight has damaged the trust of the public in the judiciary, he emphasized, pointing out the major discrepancy with the cases in which the suspects who cost the state millions of dollars in bribes act with impunity. Okumuş told today's Zaman that white-collar criminals use every avenue to escape from judicial troubles, while average citizens are left with limited opportunities to mount a defense on their behalf. Recent court decisions imposing severe penalties on teenagers as well as adults purportedly involved in crime that is effectively a misdemeanor have prompted strong reactions from civil society groups, activists, and lawyers. Mehmet Andar, a deputy in the Nationalist Movement Party, MHP, also criticized the court decision on the Turkish delight theft, saying the ruling undermined trust in the judiciary. He accused the government of pushing through bills in parliament for the benefit of white-collar criminals while overlooking the plight of average citizens in a politicized judiciary.